A question. Good. You have a question. About the what? The canvas.
Yeah.
Okay.
I needed to come, from 0 to 500. I need the minus, for example, minus, then to be covered.
So you're saying in terms of the canvas. So let's see if you can point out. So here's for example canvas on main. Okay. And here we might have an environment, right? I think this is the one we worked on last time. Maybe not. So here's the environment. You can, for example, set the width. Is that what you're talking about? 0 to 500, 0 to 500.
Minus 500, for example.
Okay. So you need minus 500 for.
The medium is, for example, minus.
Oh, okay. Okay. You want it to be displayed from minus 500. Okay. So in other words, you're looking for a coordinate to go from minus 500 to positive. Okay, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
I wonder why would you do that?
Could he use coordinates and then to get turned into this coordinate system?
Use this one and change Windows, for example.
Well,
Minus 20 and
okay, okay. Well, okay. Well, okay. I'm actually not clear. Let's just rehearse this. Okay. So suppose I create a model here. I'm gonna go create a model in front of you, and we'll just get people moving around, right? I think you're gonna get people with minus coordinates. So I don't know that there's a barrier to that. So this is our Farhad model. So negative spatial exploratory spatial model or something like that, right? CMT 858 spring or fall 2013. Okay. 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 So we're gonna have this model, and then we're going to have agents, which are going to have positions within this model. So people tell me what to do if I want to add an agent class. Okay, thank you. Okay, new active object class, and then we're going to mark it as an agent, right? So sure, we'll call it a person, unless you want to call it a deer. Okay, and here's our person, then we go mark it as agent, right? Yeah. Okay, so Farhad, is your concern that persons here can only occupy positive addresses, positive locations? Is that your concern? Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna add in it. There was a further comment. So what were you gonna say?
Right, so I was saying coordinate, normally we don't give input a negative. Suppose OSK is always negative, so we is not again make it positive, just plus 360 degree. In this
Right.
we give the coordinate.
Right.
Main programming language.
Right. So yeah, I mean that's what I was talking about. It's a transformation of coordinates. If you wanted to transform them between the coordinates, so I'm going to add a population. I'm going to associate them with the environment, and so this is going to be my population, and then I'm going to associate them with this environment. And I think what Farhad is saying is that that if we if we run this right now, all these people are initially associated by default with a positive coordinate. Now we could view it. Oh, okay. There's only one agent. Sorry, I forgot to replicate it. Oh man. So here's the population, and come on. Okay, come on. So this is replicated, and we'll want, 100 of these guys, something like that. Oops. And it's going to be a bit large right now. So one way to view it is that, okay, you have a coordinate system that starts halfway through at 250 and 250, and you view the others as negative. So all these, it's true, are going to have positive coordinates, right? All of them are going to and in fact, we could show that by clicking on a person here and setting it so they report, when we click on them, they report their location, right? So in the dynamic properties of their presentation, we could have it report their location. So here's on click, and we could have it trace ln. My location is, and my location is this dot get x. I'll put it in brackets like that. This dot get x plus a comma for good measure. This dot get y, right? Plus and go here. Okay. So there we go. And I'm going to save this, and we'll try to build it here. Okay, build it. Okay, and then we'll run it. And right now, certainly all of those are going to have a positive location. So if we go here and we click, you could see that it's reporting things here. You'll notice if there's two things on top of each other, it actually reports both. You notice the reporting positive coordinates all, right? But there's nothing that would prevent us from assigning individuals negative ones. For example, Fahad, that's just purely convenience. We could go to person and we could say, we in fact don't want our environment to set their location. We want to set their location ourselves, okay? We want to determine the location. So we could go to agent in person, in the properties of person, and we could set the initial coordinates of the agent to be as we see fit. But visually, it's relative to that coordinate system. So here, I went to person and went to their agent properties, and I could do, for example, uniform between minus 500 and 500 or something like that, okay? This again is a value that's being delivered. Okay, so let's see, y coordinate. Okay, fine. So let's go see now what we got. So here, we're saying, hey, environment, don't you set my position, I'll take care of that myself. So now we have these things over here with negative coordinates. I'm clicking here, and you'll see that, sure enough, the coordinates are negative here. Okay, so there's nothing to prevent that. It's just by default the spatial environment puts them from 0 to 500 or whatever. But we can have negative coordinates, and if we had movement, if we had mobility in place, as we did in a previous time, we could actually, we'd see that some that started off in a positive coordinates become negative. Does that make sense?
I use the state chart to have the position and reposition all the agents. My problem is that was that I couldn't see all the agents.
Oh, you mean like this? Yeah. So I can't speak for a Mac, but you notice the origin is somewhere around here. I'm just using my right-click button to kind of move around. Be aware that that's only enabled for, it's enabled as part of the properties, I think, of this, this thing here. I think it's under presentation, if I'm not mistaken. Either that or under window. No, it's under window, I guess. One of these things, it'll specify, yeah. So you can ask, for example, how you can interact with it. And I think here's panning and zoom. You can set it so you can pan and zoom around that space using those keys. Does that make sense? So again, that's in the Windows property of the simulation. Another thing you can do to see those that are over on the side is you could scroll out. So I can do control scroll down or scroll up to sort of zoom around, and you'll notice they're centered at 0, 0, but they can go negative or positive. Does that make sense? So it can handle it. It's just by default the environment schedules them between 0 and the width of the space, but there's nothing privileged about that. Okay, so great question. So I'm gonna actually record that. So that